Anytime you replace the valve cover gaskets or you reseal these breather covers on the M112 or M113, you're going to have to replace these hoses. I can almost guarantee it unless they've been recently replaced. Look at these two here on the left side. I had to cut them off. They're so hard, there's no flex, so there's no way, even if I get them off, I've seen people pull them off, they crack and then try to tape them up, and that's not really cool. So this one here, same thing. It is so hard, I can't even squeeze it. Now if I come over to this one, I think this one's probably been replaced because it's nice and soft. And these right side breather covers tend to leak more than the other side, and that often gets fixed first, and that's probably why this breather here, you see it's nice and soft. I was able to heat it with a heat gun and get it off, but that's not going to help me much because there's something else residing down underneath this mass airflow sensor that also needs to be changed, and I'm going to take you over to the bench now and show that to you. There it is. This is what you're going to need. And I know what you're thinking. You're saying, well, Ken, I only saw 3 hoses there. Well, let me explain. You have the larger hose, which comes off the rear of that left side breather cover, and it goes down under the base of the mass airflow sensor. Now, these two here are connected like this. There's a connection. Let's see. Yeah, this is the connection like this. And then this one is separate, but what's this? I like to call this the breather hose manifold because this sticks on top of the intake manifold, and this one are connected here, plus there's another pipe which goes into the top here. So even if you're to buy the hoses, you can buy these hoses and you get the hoses and you got a problem with this. This can also be very hard. Many times you can reuse these couplings, but this is a problem right here. If it gets too hard, you're not going to be able to get these hoses on and off, and you're going to end up, oh no, now I got to order one of these. So what we do is we include this all-in-one kit. We give it to you as an add-on to our valve cover and our breather repair kits, and we even include a little bit of silicone dielectric grease because you're going to need that to install these fittings. Now the next challenge is you got to be able to take off that mass airflow sensor to get to this part right here to be able to disconnect these hoses. Now if you're removing the mass airflow sensor from the top of this elbow, a lot of times this seal gets replaced, but it's this bottom seal that goes into the intake on the engine that I find is a problem. And if you look at this one, you can actually see where dirt has gotten in here, and if you look closely at the ridge of the seal itself, right here, it has collapsed. Look at the difference between that and the new seal that I'm going to install here. And you can also see that there's a difference in the diameter of the inside hole, because this is just gotten old. After 20 years, these get old, they get hard, they lose their seal, and if it's bad enough, just like here, you can see how dirt and grime can be sucked right into the intake, and that's going to shorten the life of your pistons and piston rings. You may wonder why these hoses are on my top 5 list of neglected items on these engines. It isn't just the hoses, okay? It's what the hoses do. It makes the engine breathe. So related to these hoses are also these breather covers, which do not breathe if the holes get plugged up inside the cover. So it's part of the total breathing ability of this engine. If you have 1 or more plugged breather holes in these covers, usually caused by lack of oil changes, you get a bunch of junk in there that plugs those little holes. Crankcase pressure that's built up in the crankcase of the engine comes up along the back here and enters through this hole and enters this chamber, and then it exits the chamber via this breather hose and is routed right back into the intake. But, and many have reported this as a problem, look at that. The hole leading to the fitting is plugged, totally plugged. That means the right side isn't breathing properly. Now if I show you the left side, when we pull that cover off, The hole is there. It's not a big hole, so you can see how easily it can be for that to get plugged. You can have all kinds of symptoms. One of the symptoms is pull the cap off, the oil cap off your engine. This one's new, of course, but if you see white, foamy chocolate here, that's usually an indication your engine's not breathing. It's trapping moisture. Another one would be rough idle. And so there's, this is something that needs to be taken care of. So the hoses, the breathers, but also it's these seals here. Remember, you have to pull off this mass airflow sensor if you're going to replace all of these hoses. And I think that's probably the reason why they don't all get changed. People just look at this and think, oh, that's way too much work. Maybe that's why this one got changed, because it just plugs in on that side. I've done a complete instructional video on taking this mass airflow sensor off, removing the elbow, and replacing these two seals here. These are as critical as these hoses. And it can be a little frustrating if you don't know exactly how to do this. So that's included in my video, which comes with all these hoses as one kit. And then I highly recommend, these can be purchased separately, but I highly recommend that you get these two seals here if you plan on replacing the full set of breather hoses.